yield.
So, Chuck, with all this talk about the White House and the first ladies and how things have changed, I'm just wondering, what would Jackie Kennedy Onassis,
Well, let me
Jacqueline, what would Jacqueline have to say
well
to us
let
if
me
we
pull
were
this.
here right now? Because damn, we need some guidance from one of our
Yeah, well,
wonderful first ladies.
like when we were talking about the violin music, Jacqueline, I call her Jacqueline, and the reason I do that is out of respect. That's like my little homage to her, because she once said to me, I wish people called me Jacqueline. Everybody called me Jackie. I'm okay with that, but I love my real name. And I said, I will call you Jacqueline. So that's why you hear me sometimes jump back and forth. But as I said during the violin music afterwards, she has a very mollifying presence, very grounded, very peaceful. This has not been such a day for me. So I really needed this. I needed to talk to her. And I'm actually seeing there was some wisdom in channeling her at 1:30 this afternoon instead of late last night when I was really tired. And, I've told the story before how she first started coming to me. It was back around 1995 or so. It's about a year after she died. I had a very vivid dream where I ran into her on, I guess it was Fifth Avenue, Park Avenue in New York. And she invited me up to her home, up on one of the upper floors of her building. And we just sat, and it was like you and me. We just started talking and chatting, and we just had the best time together. And when I woke up from the dream, I was actually sad because I wanted it to keep going. I missed her. But I started feeling her presence around me. And this was back in the days before I was consciously doing what I'm doing right now. And I spoke to a psychic friend of mine that I really trusted. And I said, am I imagining this? Am I crazy, or am I really channeling Jackie Kennedy? And my friend, she got silent for 2 or 3 minutes, came back and said, you're channeling her. You're definitely channeling her. She's telling me right now. And she's saying that, Jackie said, she guides me even when I'm not aware. She's guiding me. And she also threw out that she's a big I Love Lucy fan. A lot of people didn't know that about her. She loves Lucille Ball. So anyway, I have a message here. And of course, there's the elephant in the room, what everybody wants to ask her. And this is not what she wanted to talk about. But of course, everybody wants to ask about the East Wing of the White House and the destruction. So she kind of, I don't want to say grudgingly, but she agreed, okay, let's just get it out of the way. I'll talk about it. And then I want to talk about what I really want to talk about today. So let me just find this on my iPad here. Let's see. First of all, she was admonishing me a little bit to get calm and turn the volume down on the television so she could talk. So anyway, she said, first of all, I recognize that every one of you would like for me to give some sort of statement or sentiment about what has happened this week to the East Wing of the White House. It is beyond egregious. What more can I possibly say or add to that? Back in the day, I was heavily criticized for what people accused me of trying to redecorate the White House. There could have been nothing further from the truth. Such foolish and insulting frivolity. That would have been sacrilege. What I was trying to do was restore the White House back to its original glory and grandeur. I was famously quoted as saying, the people's house by every right should be the most beautiful in the land. Everything in the White House must have a reason for being there. This is out of respect to history. Well, Mr. Trump clearly has no comprehension of this or cares about how sacred American history is. Of course, this saddens me on personal levels. Deep personal levels as First Lady. The East Wing was an intrinsic part of my life and legacy during Jack's presidency. That is all I wish to say. So let's just leave it at that for now. So that was all she wanted to say about that. And then she went on to say, no, this is the real message here. She said, my original intention was to talk about individual power and purpose. I wish to tell people to find the inner confidence to recognize that every single one of you has a unique voice, meaning, and purposeful destiny to carry out and express. The world would be literally incomplete without your current presence. You could be a school teacher, a janitor, a head of a mighty corporation. This in no way lessens your individual importance. You are all equal in the eyes of God, the universe, or whatever else you wish to call it. Please get over the notion that you are somehow insignificant or unimportant, or that you do not have anything of measurable significance to contribute. Then she said, yes, Chuck, you are correct. I did say in private before becoming First Lady that I thought I was a dud. The circumstances distressed me greatly as I was being thrust, almost hurled into a public role on a world stage in front of many millions of people that I never wished for or sought. It frightened me enormously. I felt ill-equipped, and nothing had really prepared me for this type of responsibility. I felt like a fraud. More than anything, I feared being an embarrassment to my husband, Jack. I feared being an embarrassment to myself and my family. All along, my sole intention and focus had been on assisting my husband to reach his political aspirations. I was not entirely thinking about what this was going to mean for myself, whether I wanted it or not. I was about to become just as famous, influential, and well-known as him. This was never my own aspiration. It truly was not. I stepped into my role with reluctance, but only with the sole intention of being a support system for my husband. I wanted to represent our country and do so with integrity, dignity, and honor. I was never about glorifying my own self, despite what many people have said, what many people may believe. It scared me. This was so very much to be taking on. Plus, I was the mother of two very young children. I had just given birth to John Jr. There were often times I just wanted to be left alone. I needed my solitude to recharge, nourish, and fortify my own self. Sometimes to keep myself grounded, and other times just to keep my sanity. Many times when I was the First Lady, I needed to retreat to a farm in Virginia and ride my horses and be in nature. This is where I found my strength and fortitude to return to Washington and be Mrs. Kennedy. It had been my wish that Jack and I could eventually retire to the country in Virginia. Looking back on this extraordinary and remarkable experience, I recognized that I had divine guidance and assistance. I always had this, even when I was not consciously aware. I can assure you that there were many times that I was absolutely clueless about the hows and whys of my job as the First Lady of the land. Some of you like to use the term fake it until you make it. Well, that applied to me. I feared making a misstep and embarrassing my husband more than anything. This was often on a daily basis. I was under the watchful eye of enormous scrutiny and expected to uphold standards that I did not even know if I fully had or embraced. I never consciously planned to be such a role model and influence on so many people, not just America, but around the world. This genuinely stunned me. In the years leading up to Jack becoming president, I never, ever saw this type of role for myself. Not even when I was a senator's wife or a newly minted member of the illustrious Kennedy family. I simply did not. What unfolded before me was a type of destiny or higher purpose that needed to happen. Perhaps I just had the good sense or even a sense of naivete to get out of my own way and simply allow. My life had a greater, higher purpose that somehow remained oblivious or even invisible to me. I did not begin to grasp hold of this until it actually happened. But dear people, it did happen. What I am wishing to say is that each and every one of you has your own higher purpose and specific reason for being here on this earth in your current lifetime. We, meaning the world, need you to stand up and step forward, even if you have to be thrust into the fire as I was. Just because you cannot see or recognize this for yourself does not negate its existence. Quite the contrary, as I quickly had to learn. No one, absolutely no one, is insignificant. Collectively, this is where we join our power and our gifts. And she finishes this with, I give you my word that it will be glorious and beautiful. You all matter. You are precious and unique all to yourself. Literally, no one else can do or give to the world what you have within. I invite you to explore your untapped potential. I will be cheering you on. That was my message from Jackie. Sorry, it was kind of long, but that's what she wanted to say today. She didn't want to talk about the East Wing.
I would happily spend hours listening to Jackie Kennedy.
I love her very much. This is the second message on the show.
This was very powerful. My goodness.